Good morning. My name is Douglas Drake, Director of Business Development, U.S. and Asia. In your program, it says Alex Allardyce, so a little change, not much. But my point this morning is to actually introduce a little bit on our evolution. As Alex Drivers mentioned, we've evolved quite a bit. And my purpose is to introduce the next series of talks till 10:50, which will talk about really giving a context around our products and how we've developed them. If you've been to previous UGMs, many times you've seen our products, POs stand up and talk about their new features and go through a lot of the bullet points. And that's interesting, but maybe not as really fulfilling in terms of really where we're trying to go, and that's what we're going to give you a context to this morning, and really ending up with where we're going to be with Plexus, which Alex mentioned, as our new product suite, and that's going to be launched this week and also next week in a series of presentations. So, as Alex mentioned, ChemAxon, we enable chemistry. We actually say that cheminformatics is solved through ChemAxon. And we do this in a variety of different ways. For many of you using our products, they're cost-effective tools for developing and managing cheminformatics knowledge. And we do this in a variety of ways as we've evolved over the last 16 years. What we're going to do in this presentation, I'm just introducing them, but we'll have 4 different presentations. And what I want to do is encourage you to meet with the POs, ask questions afterwards, and also meet with them separately. As Alex mentioned, we really want to start getting a lot of feedback, especially on end-user applications and how your customers would like to use our tools more effectively. And that's one of the things that you'll see is we're moving from the back-end architecture to really the front-end chemistry user face. As Alex mentioned, we've been around 16 years, started in 1998, based in Budapest. That's where most of our people are. We're about 130 people. 75% of us are largely in development, so you'll see a lot of geeks in the room, myself included. But not as much focused on the sales and business development and promotion as other organizations, really developed on building new products and new product suites. And that's what we've done a lot of almost every year by releasing a new product or many times updates to our products. And that's led us to basically be the industry leader in terms of cheminformatics and cheminformatic platforms. And we integrate across a variety of different architectures, originally starting with Marvin and developing our software development kits and other things that other third-party partners, such as our partners, use and utilize in their products. We are proud of the fact that we actually do a lot of our product development and innovation directly with customers. We take your ideas, we build them into what we do. We are very close to how you guys are very much so instrumental in how we develop and promote and actually what we do in terms of technology. And we're changing a little bit as that. Maybe we'll not say yes, but we're going to actually start trying to understand more how we can develop across a variety of different customers as opposed to just being customer-centric solutions. We are an innovator. We do see ourselves as really producing and creating new space in this. As Alex mentioned regarding Marcouche, which will be presented tomorrow, we take our technologies and we think really create new what we say open spaces with our technologies, where now, for example, tomorrow you'll see how Marcouche can be used for creating virtual library searches to understand what space you already have defined and what molecules fit into that. So I think it's a very exciting time and an exciting application. So for many of you that have seen or are familiar with the Pistori Alliance, this is the compliment emulation is the most sincere form of flattery. I stole this. And actually a couple of colleagues previous to me have stole it as well. But this is to show you a little bit of the trends in the industry, which I think is where we're trying to address. When we started 16 years ago, here on the left, the pharma industry was, especially on the research and development side, was a large oligopoly market where you had big players such as the big pharma and then smaller satellite players, academic and smaller biotechs around them. As we've seen, that's progressed now to a much more diverse, smaller set of groups where you have now larger pharma, less focused on research and more focused on the development and other academics and collaborators and smaller biotechs as well as CROs actually filling in those gaps. And so what's become important is that ability to share data, basically be able to communicate across time zones, across firewalls, that everybody be able to contribute to that because it's now a collective effort, not an individual effort. For example, when I was in drug discovery 15 years ago with a small biotech in San Diego, you had to go to one individual to find out about your chemistry and what we had registered, and to someone else for the biological data, and you have to marry those together. Now that day of having one person who does those custom jobs is really going away because everybody needs access to that same data in order to be able to work collectively together. And that's where you're going to see Plexus enabling that. So I'm going to get to the kind of where we're going right away. So that's where we see us evolving our tools, and how also Plexus will fill that is really enabling that. And as mentioned, we already have a number of partners in this area, Open Innovation with Lilly and others that are using Plexus for that very matter. So other trends. We actually, in our logo, say cheminformatics is solved, although we are still working on it. But the focus is not so much anymore because of that need to get more data out to more end users, is not so much focused on that architecture, the core pieces. There's still obviously a lot of need to update some of those, but a lot of it is how do we get our tools shared and how to get people access to the data that they want. So a real shift in the market from back-end architecture and that specialty person doing everything to now everybody accessing that data and being able to share it, from the medicinal chemist to the cheminformatics to the programmer to the computational chemist and so forth. We want to see things more modularly and easily visual. Say that 3 times fast. So we want to be able to get the data that we want right away and be able to make decisions on it very quickly. So I want to see today's results right away and be able to see those in context of what I have, where my next project's going. I want to see what my CRO did. I want to know what my academic partner is. I want to know about lead targets. I want to know about new gene targets and so forth. I want to see all that information right away. So that visualization and reporting is now becoming very, very important, because the decision making is not just at a director level, but also at the bench level right away. And we're also, the issue is to be able to integrate with other third-party tools and databases. So how do we integrate with other visualization tools? How do you, for example, federate data from different sources? How do you bring that together? How do you put this together with, for example, Spotfire or other visualization or other types of reporting or other databases into a collective whole? And then also what we're seeing is a lot of technology shift. As mentioned, Marvin with Java, now we're introducing JS, and Oracle shifting now to other databases as well. So you're seeing a lot of the technology shift, and as Alex mentioned, a lot of the shift also to handheld mobile devices. So over the past 16 years, we've actually had a new product launch almost every year. We started with Marvin, which is still the probably best desktop chemistry drawing tool and used widely through education as well as also publishing. 2 years later, we came out with JChemBase for actually database management and storing of those results. 2003 on plugins and calculating properties around those. JChem Cartridge is an Oracle extension. In 2004, Instant JChem is a desktop client. In 2006, JChem for Excel, extending that knowledge into Microsoft Office. Compound registration in 2012, and that's now been globally deployed and worldwide used. And Compliance Checker 2013 for obviously ensuring that everything that you send around the world is obviously compliant. And we have these little cards, get out of jail free if you're not familiar with it. Plexus, we introduced that as a desktop enumeration tool for library analysis last year, and we're introducing that further this year. And then biomolecular registration. Yesterday we've done quite a bit of work with Pfizer and others on this, and now we're extending this into a desktop toolkit for actually building out bioregistration. And you'll hear more about that. So over the next couple of minutes, what you're going to have is a number of talks, and to give you some context, if you want to think about it, we break this down into 4 areas: creation, storage, analysis, and reporting. And those are going to have, the talks are broken down. And that's how we've actually, in some ways, organized our products. If you think about it, we started on the creation side with Marvin, and then went into the database management side with JChem-Base, how you store the structures that you draw. And then as we've progressed further, we've gone into naming and instant JChem for desktop tools, obviously compliance checker for checking compliance, JChem for Office are obviously doing further analysis within Microsoft Office, and now reporting, we have instant JChem, JChem for Office, also reporting, and Plexus Suite, which you hear a lot about in the next standpoint. But what we're talking and really want to help you understand is that we've started really from this idea of moving to the workbench, or moving from the back-end architecture to the bench years ago, where we actually were starting on the creation of how the data is managed, how you're storing that in a variety of different fashions, how you're doing analysis and reporting. And this is what we believe is a lot of what your end customers are trying to do, and gives, hopefully from this, a context to a whole picture of what we can provide. So the next, first one we'll be talking about creation, then storage and analysis and reporting. So without further ado, what I'd like to do is turn this over to my colleague.